Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope all of you are having a fantastic Thursday and a great week. I know my week started with a bit of a hiccup, some depressing news, but we'll get to that shortly. But the great news is week two is already here. My name is Casey Halpern, and I'm thrilled to be joined by my good friend, PR and prop extraordinaire, Adam Rosenberg. Adam, it's great to see you on the stream. How are we doing?
Dude, Casey, thanks for having me, man. It's been a long time coming to get me on here, so I'm pretty stoked. I'm sorry about Aaron Rodgers. I made an immediate joke about Aaron Rodgers last night on my pod, but look, all love with Jets and Eagles fans, right?
Yeah, I mean, it should be all love when you guys have remained undefeated against us in your
Well, we
organization's history.
gave you Rich Kotite, all sorts of different things. So always I'm pretty sure like the ghost of Ken O'Brien at one point was one of our quarterbacks, like when we went through a really weird 90s stretch. But yeah, man, I'm excited to get into it with you for week two.
And you also gave us Michael Vick. People forget he was on the Jets as well.
Yeah.
But excited to chat. Obviously, a massive Thursday night game ahead, but we'll get to that in a bit. Before we look at the Profit Exchange week two markets, I kind of want to just get your thoughts. What's your biggest takeaway from week one?
So my biggest takeaway from week one is that defenses were more ready than offenses. Unders were 12-4. And like we talk about like primetime unders and all that fun stuff, but I mean, defenses looked really good. Like nobody's offense just looked like they were really doing it. A lot of stuff looked really scripted. But also the old takes didn't matter. Like how long have we heard Tomlin as a dog? Didn't matter. Belichick with time to prepare didn't matter. I mean, obviously some like as an Eagles 3.5 point holder at the end, like sure it worked out for me, but it's these things that we've been used to doing. I mean, like that Steelers one was really surprising because I thought I was so sharp, just like everyone else. But that was kind of my biggest thing is that defenses were really, really ready, which I guess you would expect in week one.
Yeah, defenses came to play. Obviously, I think it has to do with the offenses really not seeing a lot of time together, like as a unit during the preseason and just being limited out there. One thing that did hold true, though, for the New York Jets was divisional home dogs in week one.
Yep.
So thankfully they came through there. But like yourself, I also like the Steelers. I had a Steelers-Packers teaser that I took like a month ago. And the second
I had that too.
The second I took it, I was like, wow, this is actually I love this. And then
I was like, I'm a genius. This is so great.
And then I couldn't, for context, I couldn't watch any football until 5:50 p.m. on Sunday because I had a family function. My cousin had a baby, so I had the whole family out on Long Island. So I was just constantly checking my phone. I was like, oh, it's immediately like 20-0. Okay, this is a hot start to the season. But excited for week two. Let's dive into the games ahead. I'm going to pull up the profit markets currently. So give me a second here. I've got quite a few tabs open at the moment.
And I'm pulling you guys up as well.
So before, obviously, a massive slate, no buys this week, obviously. Who is one underdog you're currently eyeing to not only cover this weekend, but potentially win outright?
For me, it's the Jags. Going back with some, Eagles ties, it's Doug Peterson. So for me, this game is, there's a trend. If you are a week two dog and you are playing and you lost and you are playing any team that has also lost, there's what I call a fake bounce back trend where people are going to flock to back this favorite because they're like, oh, you know what? They had problems in week one. They're just working it out, which is, by the way, something that people say about the Chiefs all the time. And I don't know. I mean, I think that there are other issues that the Chiefs may have. I mean, I don't think the Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs or anything, but I like the Jags in this spot. Doug Peterson is, 12-4 ATS as a home dog. Not that it really matters here, but look, they've had this game probably circled for months since the playoffs. It could have number one seed implications later on. And the Jags looked good. I would argue that the Jags probably have been prepping more for this game than they did for a Colts team that we know is in transition in week one. I just this is a game that they're going to be able to get up for. It's a home opener, and so I really like them. I took that +3 right away. I think it's kind of moved to. I know it's moved away and it's +3.5 now, but that's more than a field goal at home. That's just a good bet that you got to take on two teams that everyone agrees is probably going to be in the top 3 at least of the AFC.
Fair enough. I have some bad news for you, though.
Uh-oh.
We are on complete opposite sides here.
All right.
I actually took the Chiefs at -2.5 immediately when it opened. I just think the Jaguars secondary is a little suspect, but I do think it will be a close game, and potentially, I think the Jaguars obviously have a shot at winning. I just think the Chiefs are going to kind of, with extra time off, 10 days, get their ducks in a row and hopefully bounce back from that disturbing Thursday night loss last week against the Lions. But who knows? Maybe this is like reminiscent of when the Jaguars played the Patriots and hosted them early in 2018. I think it was like week 2 or 3, and they smacked them, obviously, after losing to them in the playoffs the year prior. So maybe history repeats itself here with the Jaguars obviously getting revenge. My dog I like, it's a bit disgusting, and I can't believe I'm going to do this to myself.
Tell me.
I like the New York Jets at +9. I don't know if they're going to win outright. I love the Jets if they get to +10. I know I'm going to sound like a homer, but give me the Jets getting the points this weekend against the Cowboys. I just think they'll be able to slow the game down with their defense, with their running game.
Yep.
I think it's just going to be an ugly defensive smash mouth game. Something along the lines of like 16-9, 16-13. I just think both these defenses are 2 of the best in the NFL, and obviously week 1 kind of proved that. And per PFF, I think the Cowboys had 39 pressures in week 1, and the Jets had 32. So that was good for first and third in the NFL. And these 2 defenses can get after the quarterback in waves. They've got plenty of guys up and down the defensive line in the front 7. And I'll be watching out if Tyler Smith, the Cowboys rookie standout guard from last season, will get up for Sunday. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how the Jets O-line, if they could take a step forward. Obviously, they struggled a bit in week 1, but with a week of chemistry under their belts, maybe they take a step forward. Am I absolutely petrified of Sunday with Zach Wilson at the helm? Absolutely. He's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL since he entered, and he's even worse when he's under pressure. But as a Jets fan, I'm trying to remain as optimistic as possible here. It's tough. I'm not going to lie to you, but I think Gang Green can find a way to just keep it close, run the clock with the running game, and I think the defense is going to come to play, and I think they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. I really do.
Yeah, and they're also they're playing with house money when literally like 4 snaps in when everyone's like, all right, your season's done, and that defense. I mean, look, we always thought that defense was for real. Like I always loved the under in that game because of that. And, to be honest, it feels like the Jets are, you got now look, I mean, maybe Zach Wilson plays up because he's got these guys around him to do this. I like that spot too. As a non-Cowboys fan, as Cowboys hater, I don't even know why I politely said it, but yeah, I like that spot a lot. It's funny you mentioned about the slowing the game down, but it was, between the Jags, I also like the Titans too for that similar reason against the Chargers, because these teams that love to play pace up and do whatever, like part of the reason why the Chargers got off so many plays is because Miami was like, yeah, you can get off so many plays. We want to get off so many plays, but the Titans don't do that. So I do like this spot also for the Jets. Again, like you said, they're playing with house money. They're up for it. That defense is going to it feels like it's going to have a different hero every week. So, and it looked for real. So
they are ferocious. They are physical. They absolutely dominated that game on Monday. Hopefully they can continue to do what they do best. I think they're going to really play with a chip on their shoulder. Can Zach Wilson maybe somehow take a step forward? Doubtful, but I'm going to pray. Okay. I'm going to pray. We've been through a lot of pain here. I mean, 4 snaps, his Achilles shattered, ruptured. It doesn't get more Jets than that.
It makes the story, though. You got a story. Now you got a story going.
Of course. But look, I think Monday night was the perfect encapsulation of what being a Jets fan is like. Just the the extreme highs of Rodgers running out of the tunnel to the big Brees run on like the first play of the game.
He looks
And
so
then
good.
he looks
looked
so
great.
good. Incredible. And then obviously what happens a couple plays later, so deflating. And then they somehow pulled themselves off the mat. Huge shout out to Saleh and the coaching staff for keeping the composure together of the team, and they won. So hopefully we could bring the momentum into Dallas. But let's move on from the Jets. I think we've wasted a few breaths on them.
You mean this isn't a secret Jets fan fiction podcast? Kind of like all mine are secretly Eagles fan fiction podcast.
Yeah. It's tough to ignore. So you like the Jaguars to pull the upset this week? I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
So let's pull out the chalkboard. All right.
Yep.
Give me your favorite.
Bengals, easily the Bengals. So I'm a big look.
Bengals lane.
I'm a big joke. I think the lane 3. Yeah. Like I think I like them to win. I'm betting them on alts. So look, the Bengals got blown out on the road to a divisional opponent, and the Ravens blew out, an arguably very inferior team at home. And, normal situation, I had looked at that because the look ahead line was 3.5. And I thought, you know what, if you bet this early, because the Ravens will probably win, this will probably move down. No, in fact, the initial moves were all towards the Bengals. It's now like squaring up a little bit on the money line. So like, the market is basically telling you like this should be a closer game. I don't think these two teams are actually that close. While I do like the under a lot in this game, because the O-line on the Bengals is never great. And, the Ravens, the way that it's very clear there's going to be an adjustment period on this new offense. Go figure. If you had the bingo card free square of Ravens running back gets injured for the season, it already hit, which is every single year. But like Bengals home opener, Joe Burrow covers. I love this Bengals. I really like this Bengals team. This is a really good get out spot. I always knew that the last week was going to be a bad spot for them. So Bengals are easily my favorite this weekend.
I think I agree with you. I mean, anytime your quarterback doesn't play in the preseason, history has shown that offense is kind of underwhelmed significantly than in week 1. It's an adjustment period. You need to get acclimated to the speed of the game. I don't care like how many years you've been in the NFL. Joe Burrow's great. I expect the Bengals to bounce back this weekend. If you like that under 46, I encourage everyone to come to Profit Exchange because it's at minus 104 right now. So you won't have to pay that minus 110, minus 120 like you would on the books. But let's go into tonight's game. As I mentioned at the top of the stream, you are a great prop bettor, whether it's baseball, football. So kind of talk to us about your approach and your process to prop betting.
So it obviously depends on the sport, but like, look, for generally speaking, I look at like the total. Actually, I look at the total for both sports. So for baseball, and I'll just say this quick because there's 3 of us who still care about baseball. But if it's good pitching matchup, then I'm probably looking more towards unders, and if the total's moving down, I'm really not going out of my way to bet a bunch of over hit props. But that kind of carries over the same way for football. I look at a total and I see what's happening. So for tonight, good example, totals being bet up and you got a long spread. So that's basically saying that things are going to kind of trend towards the over, but that the game script itself would lend itself if things work the way that this line tells you it is. The Eagles are in the lead. So in the second half, they're probably running the ball. So I don't know how much I'm going to put an emphasis on a major, passing type of thing. If it was like a shorter line, I might look at it in a different way. When totals are lower, I sometimes look more at the running side of stuff. I think it's also, it's just kind of figuring out what the game script is, figuring out first what the total you think is going to be, or like what the score, I should say, is going to be, and then reverse engineering from there. So in my head, spoilers, I think that tonight is a 31-21 Eagles type of situation. I think that's the best case scenario for Vikings. I might be wrong. I'm wrong a lot, but that's, so I reverse engineered it from there of like, okay, so what does this mean? Like who would be kind of the person who would score first and things like that. And that's how I look at different games and do that. And, the more fun prop bets are overs. So I kind of try to target higher totals and then be like, I'm going to look for a good prop in this game.
I like it. It makes sense to me. To piggyback off that, I'm probably biased when I say this, but one of the beauties of Profit Exchange is that there are two-way markets for everything we offer, including props. Now, do we have the widest selection of props available? No, but we do have some, and you'll be hard pressed to find tighter lines and fairer prop markets out there because they are two-way. They are transparent. We do allow you to bet the no side of things. So let's quickly run through the 8 props we have up tonight, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on all of them. Hurts or Cousins, more passing yards?
I would have to say Cousins. He's playing from behind.
I agree with you. Justin Jefferson, touchdown.
So that's a tough one for me. It's weird because like Slay covered him really well last time, but I think part of the reason why Slay did so well is because Bradbury was also doing well, right? And people don't realize that when both of them are on the field, that's what makes one a lot better. So I'm gonna. There's other guys that I'm targeting that I think score a touchdown before Justin Jefferson. So I'm actually gonna say no. I still think he's going to eat on the other sides though. And by the way, like if I can give like a quick shout for like what you guys do that I think is so great. I mean, you mentioned it, but having a non-binary market where you're able to say the other side of stuff and be able to say, no, this isn't going to happen. That's incredibly valuable for a bettor, because a lot of times in touchdown markets, especially, like I see this all the time for home runs, which is like a big deal. Home run, it's very common that you can say, no, someone's not going to hit a home run. So you can play around with it. You don't really have that widespread for touchdowns. And if you're able to do that, you're able to actually like corner it into becoming a portfolio for the game of how you think something happens. And, you guys are the only ones who are able to do that. And I think that's a real key thing for people to know about, like what makes you guys special when it comes to football.
We appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. And I totally agree. Hurts to throw 2 touchdowns, yes or no?
No, I think he's going to run for him.
Cousins to throw 2 touchdowns. I like yes here.
Yes, that's a yes.
I think just to go back on your point, obviously no Bradbury is massive. The secondary depth this year is obviously not as good as last year due to the subtractions you guys had in the offseason. A lot's going to be on rookie cornerback Keely Ringo's plate tonight, I think.
I mean, aren't the Vikings on? Aren't the Vikings? Don't they have a backup center coming in too?
Yeah. And no Darisaw as well. So injuries already in week 2,
which is surprising because the Eagles had such good injury luck last year. I think they were the luckiest team injury wise last year. So, it always catches up.
Hurts or Madison, more rushing yards?
Hurts.
I agree. I think especially with what Brian Flores likes to do, he loves to blitz and leaves those cornerbacks on an island. And I don't think that secondary is quite good, to say the least. So running lanes should be open all night for Mr. Hurts. Let's check out our source betting markets that were chosen by the source betting Discord community. So Goddard to score a touchdown. My fantasy team would like yes.
So would mine. And I think so as well. I mean, I think the middle of the field is going to be open for both teams.
Yep. Agreed. Hawkinson to score a touchdown. Yes, no.
Love that. That's to the moon. That's the sheep Twitter play of the week, and I'm all over it.
I love it. All right, let's hop into the main markets for tonight. I think everyone has a gist of who we like right now. Right now, we are offering the Vikings at plus 230, Eagles minus 245. That'll probably close significantly around the 5-cent money line. Vikings plus 6 at plus 101, and Eagles minus 6 at minus 105, with the over under at 49 currently. What do you like?
From all of it, I mean, look, I love the over. I like the over in this game.
As do I.
Yeah, I like the over in this game. There's few game script situations where I see that points aren't scored. I think there's already, like you said, too many injuries on both sides of the ball. But in terms of the main markets, I actually, ended up doing a teaser, doing a nice solid negative EV teaser, but including the Eagles. But like what I really love is I really like the over in this game. And I know that primetime unders are a thing and people are going to ship that, and that's fine, but I don't think that that's happening tonight.
I agree. I like the over as well. I think both teams have pretty good offenses. I think the Vikings are going to be fine. I like Kevin O'Connell as a play caller, and I trust him to give plenty of opportunities to his stud wide receivers. I think Jordan Addison is a great wide receiver number 2. I'm excited to see him in prime time tonight, him and Jefferson. Obviously, we know what the Eagles can do, and I just think kind of The Vikings defense could be a sieve. We mentioned that Flores loves to blitz, and they just don't have the pieces for what he likes to do yet. I think he's a great DC, but you have to have some personnel in place, and they don't have the secondary there. And I think the Eagles are a little banged up, so I'd love to see a shootout. Hopefully we get it. So take out your crystal ball and give me what you think the biggest storyline will be in the NFL come Monday morning.
Well, I hinted to it before, but I think it's going to be, are the 0-2 Chiefs in trouble?
Interesting.
That's. I mean, look, you got to have a headline that gets clicks, right? So, yeah, I think it's going to be, are the 0-2 Chiefs in trouble?
Okay, the reigning champs could be in a bit of trouble if they go 0-2. And as many of you will probably guess, mine will be. I fully expect Get Up to lead with this. Can Zach Wilson lead the Jets to a Super Bowl after a outright win as a 9-point underdog against the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry World?
My alt was, is Zach Wilson the NFL's MVP? So if it makes you feel better, like that was my alt.
Your mouth's to God's ears, please.
Yeah.
Hashem, help us.
What are the odds on that? Oh man. I mean, I feel like that's
I'm in New York.
So I know. I feel like that's a bet you just kind of have to throw like something small at, because it's got to be like insane odds. And if everything worked the right way, I mean, it's got to be at least 100, 200 to 1. It's got to be.
I can't even entertain the thought. Let's just see him play like a game where he looks like a somewhat middle of the pack, like competent quarterback who doesn't run 20 yards backwards to get a 2-yard gain. Just once, please.
Well, he's not a good game manager. He's not a confident game manager, which kind of worries me sometimes on the running game, because that's where you just need some, because he doesn't read blitz as well. But then again, we all should blame ourselves because we judged this guy during a season of college football when fans weren't allowed in the stadiums. So it's sort of like a rumor. It's like a rumor. Like, I heard Zach Wilson's good. I don't know. I haven't really seen him because no one's allowed in stadiums right now.
I watched every BYU game that year, and I was enamored with his talent, and I was the schmuck that fell for it. And looking back on it, you are so correct. The COVID year really just fogged up my brain. But I hope it works out. It probably won't, but let's see. Last but not least, I know we're far away, but hit me with your Super Bowl prediction.
Bengals over the Eagles. I'm high on both these teams, and I think Joe Burrow finally gets there. So yeah, that's my favorite one.
Is this a superstitious hedge against your Eagles that they won't?
I mean, I there's always something that's going to happen, but I've just been really high on this Bengals team. The thing that's great about this Bengals team too, as a bettor too, is that the market never likes this team, right. Ever. I mean, they were left for dead around week 7 or 8 last year. And, because they were dogs every single time. And then it was that Thanksgiving weekend where they played the Titans and they won, and nobody was on them the tell for me on that game was that the Titans are that team that also everybody ends up hating, and they're they always come back. But what's weird about the Bengals is that, like quote unquote sharp money or whatever, like never likes the Bengals. It's just and it's not even like a non-public thing, but just market hates them. So if this line even went the opposite way, I wouldn't care. I would still take the Bengals. I just think that they're a very good team. I think that they have arguably the top 2, if not best, DC in the league. And when they want to, and when he decides that he wants to put things together, and I think that Joe Burrow is a star. So
I love Joe Burrow. I think the Bengals obviously have an incredible offense. Offensive line is still a bit of a question mark for me, but look, when they're at their best, we've seen what they can do. They are at the top of the AFC with the Chiefs. Pretty crazy that since the calendar turned to January 1st, 2022, I'm pretty sure like they are 18-6 against the spread and straight upset, which is kind of preposterous.
Yeah, he's 27-16 ATS in his career, which is that's insane.
I got to look it up after, but I know like his record against teams over 500 is also preposterous.
He's the only, like, name another quarterback. Like, that's the other thing about the AFC is that, you know, it's really, he's one of the only quarterbacks I think who could go into any stadium and be like, I'm perfectly fine winning here. I do not think that a lot of quarterbacks, though we just saw Jared Goff win in Arrowhead. I do not know if in the playoffs, a lot of quarterbacks could say, hey, I'm going to do this. And he's able to do that. And part of it probably is, you know, being a college champion too, where you're playing and everybody's screaming at, it's a totally different breed. So yeah, I mean, I'm big on Joe Burrow. Hope he has a big weekend too.
I love Joe Burrow. It's Joe Cool for a reason. Adam, Thank you so much for doing this. I had a blast
Casey.
in the chat. What do you have to plug, please?
You know, like tools that I use are Outlier. Give a shout to my guys at SGPN. Shout to the FTN guys. And you know, and that's it. Like, you know, and everybody else is just doing a good job. And you know, and a hat tip to fake sharp Twitter that likes to yell at people.
I love it. I hope you have a happy and healthy Rosh Hashanah, Lashana Tova to you and your family and anyone else there watching. We'll do this again soon, my friend.
Yeah. Thanks again.
Later.